Presenting ECS Mystery Mathematician.
How big is a foot? To the wonderful metric system without whose absence in this country, this book would not have been possible. Once upon a time, there lived a king and his wife. The queen, they were a happy couple, for they had everything in the world. However, when the queen's birthday came near, the king had a problem. What could he have give to someone who had everything? The king thought, and he thought, and he thought, until suddenly he had an idea. He would give the queen a bed. The queen did not have a bed because at the time, beds had not been invented. So even someone who had everything did not have a bed. The king called his prime minister and asked him to please have a bed made. The prime minister called the chief carpenter and asked him to please have a bed made. The chief carpenter called the apprentice and told him to make a bed. How big is a bed? Asked the apprentice, who didn't know because at the time nobody had ever seen a bed. How big is a bed? The carpenter asked the prime minister. A good question, said the prime minister, and he asked the king, how big is a bed? The king thought and he thought and he thought until suddenly he had an idea. The bed must be big enough to fit the queen. The king called the queen. He told her to put on her new pajamas and told her to lie on the floor. The king took off his shoes and with his big feet walked carefully around the queen. He counted that the bed must be 3 feet wide and 6 feet long to be big enough to fit the queen, including the crown, which the queen sometimes liked to wear to sleep. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. The king said thank you to the queen and told the prime minister, who told the chief carpenter, who told the apprentice. The bed must be 3 feet wide and 6 feet long to be big enough to fit the queen, including the crown, which she sometimes liked to wear to sleep. The apprentice said thank you and took off his shoes, and with his little feet he measured and made a bed to fit the queen, and 3 feet wide. When the king saw the bed, he thought it was beautiful. He could not wait for the queen's birthday. Instead, he called the queen once and told her to put on her new pajamas. And then he brought out the bed and told the queen to try it. But the bed was much too small for the queen. The king was so angry that he immediately called the prime minister, who called the chief carpenter, who called the jailer, who threw the apprentice into jail. The apprentice was unhappy. Why was the bed too small for the queen? He thought and he thought and he thought until suddenly he had an idea. The bed that was 3 king's feet wide and 6 king's feet long was naturally bigger than a bed that was 3 apprentice feet wide and 6 apprentice feet long. Can make a bed to fit the queen if I know the size of the king's foot, he cried. He explained this to the jailer, who explained this to the chief carpenter, who explained it to the prime minister, who explained it to the king, who was much too busy to go to the jail. Instead, the king took off one shoe and called a famous sculptor. The sculptor made an exact marble copy of the king's foot. This was sent to the jail. The apprentice took the marble copy of the king's foot, and with it he measured and 6 feet long and built a bed to fit the queen, 3 feet wide. The bed was ready just in time for the queen's birthday, and the king called the queen and told her to put on her new pajamas. Then he brought out the new bed and told the queen to try it. The queen got into the bed, and the bed fit the queen perfectly, including the crown, which she sometimes liked to wear to sleep. It was without a doubt the nicest gift that the queen had ever received. The king was very happy and immediately called the apprentice from jail and made him a royal prince. He ordered a big parade, and all the people came out to cheer the little apprentice prince. And forever after, anyone who wanted to measure anything used a copy of the king's foot. And when someone said, "My bed is 6 feet long and 3 feet wide," everyone knew exactly how big it was.
Let's meet the mystery mathematician.
Hello to each of you. I am Cherie Hardrick. I am Director of Federal Programs for Enterprise City Schools. So the question is, how do I use math in my position, in my role every day? So let's go with it. Being the Director of Federal Programs, it requires for me to use math dealing with budgets. I deal with budgets on a daily basis. Knowing how to add and subtract and divide large numbers is very important. I use math by being over personnel, checking time and attendance, averaging hours, and determine if an employee is being paid the correct amount of hours. Being over nurses, it requires me to do a lot of approval of time when nurses are requesting additional pay for additional work. And a nurse is paid by their hourly rate. So I have to know their hourly rate, and then we add the number of additional hours they're requesting. Also, using math, we have to determine a certain percentage of their perks, like their insurance, medical, and also retirement benefits. So I use math every single day that I come to work. It's important to know the basic facts, how to add, subtract, and multiply. Preparing for summer school, we prepare and average a certain amount per student to spend in order to buy books and supplies for our students to attend elementary summer school. So being over our EL department, how do I use math? It's very simple. So we count every month how many EL students are at each school, and then we have a district total, and then we take that district total and get a percentage of our EL population for Enterprise City Schools. I hope this has inspired you to learn more about math, and just know when you're older, when you finish school, you will use math every day of your life. Have a great day.